What if the things you're sharing with a man, thinking it will bring you closer, are actually pushing him away? Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, revealed that some truths should never be spoken too soon, and today, you'll discover the 4 things you must protect to keep a man deeply intrigued and emotionally invested. Carl Jung taught us that every person has a hidden side, the unconscious mind, where our deepest fears, desires, and instincts live. In relationships, what we choose to reveal or conceal shapes how others perceive and connect with us. Your persona is the mask you show the world, while your shadow holds the parts of yourself you may suppress, but exposing them at the wrong time can disrupt attraction and trust. So, if you want to maintain mystery, avoid emotional pitfalls, and keep a man's genuine interest, there are 4 things you should never reveal too soon. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what to hold back and why, so your relationships grow stronger, not weaker. Let's begin. Thing number 1. Your deepest insecurities. Opening up to someone you care about is a natural part of intimacy, but there's a fine line between vulnerability and oversharing, especially when it comes to your deepest insecurities. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow self teaches us that the parts of ourselves we reject or hide, our fears, perceived flaws, and unresolved wounds, hold immense power over our relationships. When you reveal these raw insecurities too soon, before trust has been firmly established, you risk disrupting the delicate balance of attraction and emotional safety. Jung believed that what remains unspoken often carries more weight than what is openly expressed, and this is especially true in the early stages of connection. A man's unconscious mind may interpret premature emotional exposure as instability, not honesty, triggering either a protective withdrawal or, worse, an instinct to exploit the vulnerability. This isn't about manipulation, it's primal psychology. The shadow doesn't just reside within you, it lives in his psyche too, and if he hasn't yet developed the emotional capacity to hold space for your insecurities, his own unresolved defenses may surface in response. Human nature is wired to seek strength and security in partnerships, and while empathy exists, not everyone is equipped to handle another person's deepest self-doubts right away. Revealing them too soon can inadvertently place an emotional burden on the dynamic, shifting the relationship from mutual growth to one-sided reassurance. A man might initially offer comfort, but if he hasn't had the time to develop genuine care and respect for you, his patience could wear thin, or worse, he may begin to subconsciously associate you with negativity, making you the embodiment of his own unprocessed shadows. This doesn't mean you should hide your true self forever, but rather that timing matters. Trust must be earned, not assumed. Emotional intimacy is a slow unraveling, not an instant confession. So what's the alternative? Instead of laying bare every insecurity early on, focus on building a foundation of trust and mutual respect first. Let a man prove his emotional maturity through consistent actions before you share your most tender wounds. Pay attention to how he handles smaller vulnerabilities. Does he listen without judgment, or does he dismiss or weaponize them? Jungian psychology teaches us that integration, not exposure, is the key to wholeness. Work on befriending your own shadows first, so when you do choose to share them, it's from a place of strength, not desperation. A man's deepest attraction is rooted in mystery and the sense that you are a woman who understands your own worth, even your imperfections. By waiting for the right moment, you ensure that when you do open up, it's met with reverence, not resistance. Thing number 2, your past traumas too soon. We all carry wounds from our past, some visible, some buried deep within our psyche. Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious suggests that beneath our personal experiences lies a shared reservoir of human instincts and archetypal memories. When you reveal your past traumas too soon, you risk awakening primal fears in the other person, fears of chaos, instability, or even their own unhealed pain. Trauma shared prematurely doesn't foster intimacy. It often triggers a defensive response, as the unconscious mind scrambles to protect itself from being overwhelmed by emotions it isn't prepared to handle. A man might hear your story, but if he hasn't yet developed a strong emotional bond with you, his reaction won't be the deep connection you crave. It will more likely be a surface-level sympathy that keeps him at arm's length. Pity is not the same as love, and when trauma is disclosed too early, it can inadvertently frame you as someone who needs saving rather than an equal partner. There's another layer to this dynamic. Unresolved trauma carries a certain energy, a weight that lingers in the way you speak, act, and relate to others. When you share these experiences before doing the necessary inner work, you aren't just recounting events. You're unconsciously transferring the emotional charge of those wounds onto the listener. Jung believed that what remains unintegrated within us gets projected onto others, and in the context of a budding relationship, this can create an imbalance. A man may feel burdened not because he lacks compassion, but because he senses the unresolved pain beneath your words. His instinct might be to retreat, not because he doesn't care, but because he intuitively recognizes that he isn't equipped to be your healer, nor should he be. True intimacy requires two whole people coming together, not one seeking completion through the other. So how do you navigate this? The answer lies in selective sharing, not as a way to hide, but as an act of self-respect and discernment. Before bringing your past into a relationship, ask yourself, have I processed this enough that I can speak about it without being consumed by it? Therapy, journaling, and deep self-reflection allow you to transform trauma from an open wound into a scar, a part of your history, but not your present identity. When you've done that work, sharing becomes a deliberate choice rather than an emotional impulse. You'll know it's the right time when the story no longer controls you, and when the person hearing it has proven himself trustworthy through consistent, patient presence. A man who truly cares will honor your past when it's shared in the right context, but he'll fall in love with the strength you've gained from it, not the pain itself. That's the difference between trauma defining you and trauma refining you. And that's how you build a connection that's rooted in resilience, not rescue. Thing number 3, your financial or social status excessively. In a world that often measures worth by external markers of success, it's tempting to believe that showcasing your financial achievements or social standing will make you more desirable. But Carl Jung's concept of the anima, the feminine inner personality in men, and animus, the masculine inner personality in women, reveals a deeper truth. Authentic attraction thrives in the realm of the psychological and emotional, not the material. When you emphasize wealth, connections, or status early in a relationship, you risk activating the wrong kind of attention. Instead of drawing someone who values you for your essence, you may inadvertently attract those who see you as a mirror for their own aspirations or insecurities. The anima/animus dynamic teaches us that real chemistry occurs on a soul level, where two people connect through complementary energies rather than transactional exchanges. A man who is captivated by your bank account or social circle isn't falling for you. He's responding to the projection of what those things represent: power, security, or validation. This doesn't mean you should hide your success or pretend to be someone you're not. But there's a profound difference between being accomplished and leading with it. When material wealth or status becomes a focal point too soon, it distorts the natural unfolding of attraction. Jung warned about the dangers of the persona, the social mask we wear, overshadowing the true self. If a man's early impression of you is tied to external markers, his connection to you may remain superficial, built on shifting sands rather than solid ground. Worse, it can create an unconscious power struggle. He might either feel inadequate in comparison or, conversely, see you as a trophy to elevate his own ego. Neither scenario fosters the genuine, lasting bond that comes from being valued for your mind, heart, and spirit. The alternative? Let the connection develop organically, free from the weight of material expectations. Allow a man to discover the layers of who you are, your passions, values, and dreams, before he learns the details of your resume or net worth. When attraction is rooted in something deeper, external factors become secondary, where they belong. This isn't about playing games or withholding information. It's about prioritizing the substance of the relationship over its shell. By the time he learns about your successes, they'll simply be one more facet of a person he already admires, rather than the foundation of his interest. In Jungian terms, this is how you invite the animus to engage with your anima, the real you beyond any role or title. When two people connect on that level, the relationship transcends the superficial and becomes a meeting of souls, where wealth and status are just footnotes in a much richer story. Thing number 4. Your overwhelming emotional dependence. The longing for deep connection is natural, but when emotional neediness takes center stage too soon, it can suffocate the very bond you're trying to create. Carl Jung's concept of the Great Mother archetype helps explain why this happens. This primal energy represents both nurturing comfort and, in its shadow aspect, the danger of being consumed by relationship. When you reveal an overwhelming emotional dependence early on, you unknowingly activate a man's most basic survival instinct, the fear of being swallowed whole. This isn't about his unwillingness to commit or care, but rather an unconscious response to what Jung called the devouring mother energy, the sense that another person's emotional needs might erase his own identity. Modern psychology confirms what Jung observed decades ago. Neediness triggers avoidance because it signals an imbalance that threatens personal autonomy, the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built. This dynamic plays out in subtle but powerful ways. When texts demand immediate responses, when your mood depends entirely on his attention, or when your sense of self-worth hinges on his validation, you create what psychologists call emotional enmeshment. The irony is that the more you seek reassurance through clinging, the more you reinforce the very abandonment fears driving that behavior. Jung would point to this as a failure to integrate your own inner masculine energy, the part of you that could provide self-containment and emotional stability. A man doesn't want to be your emotional anchor. He wants to sail beside you on your respective journeys, occasionally mooring together in mutual choice rather than desperate necessity. The healthiest relationships breathe, with space between togetherness that allows appreciation to grow rather than resentment to fester. The path forward lies in cultivating what Jung called individuation, becoming whole within yourself first. This doesn't mean suppressing your needs or pretending to be someone you're not, but rather developing the emotional resilience to meet many of your own needs before bringing them to a partner. Start by asking, can I sit with my own discomfort without immediately seeking external soothing? The alternative to dependence isn't cold independence, but warm interdependence, the ability to choose connection from a place of abundance rather than lack. When you approach relationships as a complete person rather than someone searching for completion, you give a man the priceless gift of knowing he's wanted but not needed. This subtle shift changes everything. His natural protective instincts will activate not to flee, but to draw closer. The Great Mother archetype then manifests as its healthiest version, not as a force that consumes, but as one that nurtures while still honoring boundaries. This is how two whole people create something greater than the sum of their parts, without either losing themselves in the process. As we've explored through the lens of Carl Jung's profound insights, what you choose to reveal, and when, shapes the very foundation of your relationships. The 4 things best kept private, at least in the early stages, are your deepest insecurities, unprocessed past traumas, excessive financial or social status, and overwhelming emotional dependence. Each of these, when shared prematurely, disrupts the delicate dance of attraction, not because they make you unworthy of love, but because timing and discernment are essential to building something real. Jungian psychology reminds us that mystery isn't about deception. It's about preserving the sacred space where genuine connection can grow. Relationships thrive when there's balance, when two people reveal themselves layer by layer, not in a flood of unchecked vulnerability, but in the measured rhythm of trust earned and respect deepened. The key takeaway? Conscious sharing is an art. It's the understanding that love isn't about hiding your truth, but about honoring it enough to share it with the right person at the right time, in the right way. When you protect these 4 aspects early on, you don't just safeguard your heart, you invite a man to meet you where it matters most, beyond surface-level impressions, beyond projections, and beyond the distractions of what you have or what you've survived. Instead, you create the conditions for him to fall in love with who you are, not what you reveal in moments of unguarded impulse. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 resonated with you the most? Have you ever shared one of these too soon and witnessed the shift in a relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences might help others navigating these same challenges. And if this video brought you value, don't forget to like and subscribe for more psychology-based relationship insights. Together, let's build connections that aren't just passionate, but profound. See you in the next one.